Today on Business Live, an oil giant, Tullow Ghana, says it has accelerated plans to carry out the drilling of 7 new wells this year. This would be executed with 2 rigs operating across the 10 and Jubilee fields. The drilling, when completed, would increase production to 180,000 barrels of oil a day. Well delivery manager Elike Mauli is confident they will deliver the wells this year as projected. He spoke with Joy Business at the ongoing West Africa International Petroleum and Exhibition Conference in Lagos.
In 2018, Tullow Oil's assets delivered net production of 88,200 barrels of oil a day, in line with expectations. The 7 new wells, when completed, Tullow has indicated, would increase production to 180,000 barrels of oil a day. Speaking to Joy Business at the ongoing West Africa International Petroleum and Exhibition Conference in Lagos, Nigeria, well delivery manager Elike Mauli was confident the oil exploration firm would deliver the wells this year as projected.
Okay, we've got 2 rigs in country working on accelerating our well delivery. So we have a rig that is drilling, a rig that is completing, and we're fairly confident we're able to add to our well stock in 2019 the 7 wells that are planned. So the second rig will probably leave about midway through the year, but again, I think adding well stock to 10 and Jubilee will only further improve the stability of our business in Ghana.
Okay, you're confident about completing this new drillings by the end of 2019?
The 7 wells, yeah. 2019, yes, the 7 wells. We've got more wells to drill, but our 1-year forecast to the end of 2019 is to add 7 wells, which we're confident we will do.
Mr. Mauli participated in a panel discussion which looked at how the oil sector in sub-Saharan Africa will play out in the next 5 years from an international oil company perspective. Mr. Mauli is optimistic of the future of the industry.
West Africa, I think, is going to thrive. I mean, they've done very similar things to us. Cost of rigs and service suppliers is down, and so they should be in a very similar place when it comes to growth and production opportunities over the next 5 years.
The West Africa International Petroleum Exhibition and Conference has brought together companies seeking to demonstrate their innovative solutions and new technologies and to support the development of major new business and partnerships to benefit West Africa's petroleum economy.
And meanwhile, at the West Africa International Exhibition and Conference in Lagos, Ghana Gas has declared that the demand for gas is expected to increase for the next few years. It says the high demand will be coming from non-power sectors in the country, like mining firms. Commercial manager at Ghana Gas, Andrew Edu, highlighted the need for payment guarantees to support the supply of gas.
We expect a lot more gas consumption from the mining sectors, who are using gas not only for their mining activities, but also for things like CNG. In addition to that, the government is looking at projects with the Moroccan partners, who I'm sure have also been speaking to Nigeria, to see what can be done in terms of utilizing Ghana's gas. But further to that, we are now at the stage where we're looking at distribution pipelines so that we can actually send gas to small industries to try and increase the utilization of the gas. So one of the key things that's happening in Ghana is growth we expect will be from the non-power application of gas. But also to reinforce the fact that our off-takers need to be credible. The power generation companies, the downstream distribution companies, and the struggles that some of them have in terms of getting payment from the downstream all the way upstream.
All right, let's now touch base with our correspondent Daryl Kwao, who is attending the conference in Victoria Islands in Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, of course. And he's via Skype, he's reaching us via Skype to give us more details. Daryl, good evening. Welcome to Business Live.
Hi, Emmanuel.
All right, so what more has been going on since the report you sent?
So, about collaboration.
Now, Daryl, if you could please lean back a little bit for us because we find it quite difficult seeing your full picture. All right, I think it's better now.
It's been about the South region, and so that we build a little bit more that and highlights us also patient because around the world new technology to it. We have oil, we are able, and also to support that is the focus of the West Africa.
All right, Daryl, it looks like we have to cut you here. We find it very difficult hearing you clearly. We must apologize for this abrupt end off. We'll try and link up with him again for some more updates on the conference. Now, away from that, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, GIF, is positioning itself to generate job opportunities to be created when the Tema Port expansion project is completed by June. The chairman of the Tema branch of the Institute of Freight Forwarders, Alex Isiama, disclosed this to Joy Business in an interview, noted the port expansion will create many openings to be filled by skilled workers.
The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders was instituted to facilitate trading activities at the ports. These include documentations with customs and shipping lines, as well as the haulage sector. The Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders say their work has improved significantly, especially with the introduction of the paperless port system and reduction in the number of inspection agencies from 16 to 3. Despite this modernization, however, the GIF says there are still some bottlenecks to be cleared. Alex Isiama is chairman of the Tema district of GIF.
Our processes at the port has always been cumbersome. And year by year, authorities have been trying as much as they can to make it as simple as possible as it is done everywhere in the world, in the advanced countries. Thanks to our current vice president, who saw the need to go paperless at the port. And quite some number of changes has been done, but we still need to do more to make it as simple as possible. For instance, at a point we were having a series of government agencies at the port getting themselves involved in daily activities at the port. When it has to do with examination of cargo and things like that, you see a whole lot of agencies showing interest in that aspect of the chain. But thanks to, once again, to the Vice President who, through his new policies of paperless at the port, there was a reduction of these agencies from about 16 or more to 3. And that one has helped tremendously.
The chairman of the Tema GIF Secretariat also outlined the Institute's readiness to build capacity of people to fill opportunities after the Tema Port expansion is completed.
With the new port coming, we are getting ourselves ready for other courses that will be able to feed the personnel vacancies at the new port that is coming. We are getting ourselves very ready for it. And there are some Ghanaian institutions like the universities that we are partnering with. So our advice that anybody who wants to run those courses as far as the port operations and supply chain management and transport management, they are all welcome.
A higher court on Thursday adjourned to 18th February an injunction case against the Ghana Revenue Authority on the CDN's implementation.
The Ghana Stock Exchange says it will be making a formal request to telecommunications network provider Vodafone Ghana to list part of the remaining shares to the Ghanaian public. Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Kofi Yamwa, made the disclosure when he addressed the media in Accra. According to him, any telecom provider acquiring the 4G license should be made to list as part of the requirements. Ebenezer Sabuti has more in this report.
First and foremost, we want to implement what we call repurchase agreement transactions on this market. Currently, as we speak, if two institutions decide to do a contract and one pledges some securities in the depository, if there's a failure on the part of one, the only remedy is to go through the current process in the courts, and that is time consuming. Essentially, what this repurchase agreement will bring to the fore is that if there should be any agreement or contract in that regard, if you put up securities, immediately the securities will change ownership. And so if you default, it means that whoever you've given the securities to will easily be able to sell and make good your default. That is what we want to implement, and certainly it is being initiated by Bank of Ghana. It will involve CSD, it will involve the Ministry of Finance, and it will involve all the dealers that play on that market. It's a major trade point as far as this market is concerned and as far as the fixed income securities are concerned. It will bring a lot of liquidity as far as the fixed income trade is concerned. And that is very much something that the exchange, in collaboration with Bank of Ghana, CSD, the Ministry of Finance, and all the bank dealers will hope to implement, hopefully before we enter the second half of 2019.
As part of efforts to conserve the environment, especially wildlife, the Ghana Wildlife Society has launched a review of Ghana's legal framework for protected areas, agriculture and environmental assessment. To this end, Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Benito Owusu-Bio, has hinted of the passage of new law to safeguard Ghana's already extinct wildlife. There's more in this report.
A bill to regulate the conservation of wildlife and biodiversity will in the coming weeks be laid before Parliament. This comes on the back of rampant destruction of forests and wildlife. Deputy Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Benito Owusu-Bio tells Joy Business the bill will open up investment avenues for private participation in forest management. It will also prevent the indiscriminate felling of trees in the country. He spoke to Joy Business at the sidelines of a report launched by the Ghana Wildlife Society on a review of Ghana's legal framework for protected areas, agriculture and environmental assessment.
Soon. As we speak now, it is at the level of cabinet, and at the next cabinet meeting, it's been scheduled to be tabled where to be considered for approval. So I think with the coming in to being of this assessment report, it is welcome. I think we've been saddled with so many problems, especially to do with the degradation of our forests. But currently, I can say that the effort and the fight to stem the tide in the degradation of the forest reserves is better now. They are yielding the results. It's quite interesting. I've always been saying that if most Ghanaians could be exposed to what is happening in the forest sector, especially to do with private plantation development, Ghanaians will be amazed.
Meanwhile, forest experts recommend the need for a mechanism that creates new protected areas for forest reserves, as well as the establishment of a legal framework to demand safety of the environment.
This is Business Live. We'll take a quick break here. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Let's go back to the stock market, where the stock exchange says it will be making a formal request to telecommunication network Vodafone to list part of the remaining shares to the Ghanaian public. Managing Director of the stock exchange, Kofi Yamwa, made the disclosure when addressing the media in Accra.
Allowing the network operator Vodafone Ghana to list on the Ghana Stock Exchange will mean ordinary Ghanaians can own part of shares of a company which has been operating in the country for more than 10 years. The announcement by the Ghana Stock Exchange follows revelation by the Chief Executive Officer of Vodafone Ghana that despite its acquisition of a 4G operating license, the company will not be required to list shares on the stock exchange. In an earlier interview, CEO of Vodafone, Yolanda Cuba, said listing on the Ghanaian Bourse will be a decision by the government of Ghana and Vodafone UK.
I wouldn't say as we launch our 4G services would have been the right time to launch, because then I have a huge capital that I have to use, and then people will say, but where's my dividend? So that's what normally happens. So for me, really, it's around timing, around issues of listing. We have to look at our balance sheet. We said we need to fix our balance sheet. We have to fix the sustainability of our income statement, and then only can we talk about any kind of listing. Because people want to actually invest in a company that is sustainable over the long term. So I can't give you timing because I don't control timing. As management, what we do is we actually fix everything that needs to be fixed within a business and actually make sure that the company is sustainable. The decision on when to list and how to list is actually that of shareholders. So as management, we don't actually play around in that decision. It's really the decision of the government of Ghana and Vodafone Group.
The managing director, Kofi Yamwa, in a reaction at an annual performance review of the Bourse in Accra, told Joy Business the network operator must be compelled to list because the government shares does not translate into direct individual ownership. He therefore indicated that an informal discussion on the matter has been triggered with the communications minister.
So from the discussions the informal discussions that we had, it's not about they're going through exactly the same process that MTN went through. But that is the point where we believe that even if it's not the same process, in due course of time, the public shareholding should be represented not by what the government currently holds, but by individual members of the general public holding shares in a public listed entity.
If the move becomes successful, Vodafone will be the second largest telecommunication network to be listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange. Ebenezer Sabutis reports for Joy Business.
So just before we take leave of you, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana is calling on government to immediately call to order officials of the Ghana Revenue Authority in finding a lasting solution to the fuel smuggling menace, which the Chamber says continues to rid the state of huge revenues. In a release, the Executive Secretary of the Chamber, Duncan Amwa, said the Chamber is ready to help deal with the situation immediately. Bringing more on this when you tune in to Joy Business Prime later tonight. Have a good evening.